Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this event. We are launching today the guidelines for conducting road safety data reviews. This was a joint initiative by the International Transport Forum and the World Bank. My colleague Veronique Feipel from the World Bank, from the International Transport Forum is joining me as moderator for this event. We will moderate today's session. It's divided into the presentation of the guidelines by the team that has worked on the preparation of these guidelines, then by 2 case studies, and then by a discussion with several panelists from different regions. I would like to let you know that we will have questions and Q&A sessions after the different parts of the event. So please feel free to put your questions on the chat. I think we are now ready to start with that housekeeping comment, and let me start by welcoming Ben Reja, who is the Global Practice Manager and the Acting Global Director for the Transport Global Practice in the Infrastructure Vice Presidency. Ben oversees the bank's Transport Global Unit's knowledge, flagship and analytical studies, partnerships, corporate mandates. He directs an extensive program of technical assistance and analytical studies. Thank you, Ben, for joining us today. We would like your opening remarks at this stage. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Veronica. Can you hear me? Right?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so thank you so much. It's a great pleasure to join you all for the launch of the guidelines for conducting road safety data review. I think it's always good to start what the baseline is. We all understand the significant burden placed on society from road crashes. There is an estimated 1.35 million deaths every year. We all know that, and many times more that are seriously injured. What most people may not know is 90% of these fatalities occur in low and middle income countries. So this is really a huge economic and financial and societal burden for many of the countries we work with. However, beyond this macro level numbers, there are details that we need to pay attention in order to effectively manage road safety. There is a need to better understand the causes behind road crashes, including the locations where this occur and those who are impacted the most. Knowledge and good practices is also needed to deliver the most effective intervention that can be used to address the root cause of this road trauma. Excuse me. And this has to be based on comprehensive data in order to provide evidence-based advice to our clients for project design and policy dialogue. Analysis of road safety data allows us to get good understanding of existing conditions. It helps us define the outcome and objective we seek, and it also helps us to facilitate the identification of measures that are suited for safety improvement, and more importantly, for evaluating their impact and learning from what we do. So really, it's it's easy to overemphasize the importance of knowledge, but really not. So the importance of having data to really do good safety improvement comes through and through in many of our work that we do. There is also an increased understanding that data is required to set ambitious road safety targets and to monitor our performance towards these targets. Monitoring this progress in real time is critical to ensure we are using the right combination of actions and interventions to meet this road safety crisis. As proposed by the Safe Systems approach, which was endorsed by Stockholm Declaration of the Third Ministerial Road Safety Conference in February 2020, having timely data is essential for an effective road safety management system. We have just concluded the first decade of action for road safety. We're now commenced on a new one. One of the weaker aspects of the first decade of action was the lack of good data, especially in developing countries. This has been one key lesson that we have learned from the first decade of action is really the need to have timely quality data in order to improve our interventions. In many countries, the quality of data collection, analysis, and use needs improvement, significant improvement at that. Many countries don't maintain electronic database, making it difficult to analyze and share road safety situations across countries. However, it's not just crash data that is needed, but also other forms of road safety data to track delivery of interventions and assess the impacts of these interventions, as well as broader strategies. Meaningful monitoring is not possible without easily and promptly accessible road safety database that are up to date, supported by a well-designed data collection system that has the best possible scope and structure and includes standardized indicators to allow for comparison. The World Bank, through the Global Road Safety Facility and our broader bank activities, has been actively involved in the improvement of road safety data collection, analysis, and use for many years. We have previously produced guidance on the need for data as a critical part of effective road safety management. In recent years, we have supported projects in multiple countries to improve data collection and management, including through the implementation of new crash data systems. One good example is Cambodia, where we are financing the upgrade of the existing crash database system based on the findings from road safety data review performed by the bank together with ITF, thanks to funding from the UK aid through GRSF. However, excuse me, we also recognize that more needs to be done, especially if we want to meet the objective of this second decade of action for road safety. The improvement of road safety outcomes through enhanced data collection, analysis, and use remains a key World Bank priority. And so it's with great pleasure that today we join our colleagues at the International Transport Forum in launching this new guideline for conducting road safety data reviews. These guidelines provide very clear advice to countries on how to assess the current state of their road safety data. It helps understand the importance of this data and how it is best used for effective road safety management. Through such assessments, we will be able to develop new strategies to improve the collection, analysis, and use of road safety data. This guide consists also an important milestone in support of regional road safety observatories by providing the much needed guidance for a country to undertake an assessment and understanding its weaknesses and strengths around road safety data. The World Bank partnered with ITF, FIA, and WHO and supported countries to develop regional road safety observatories in Latin America, Africa, Asia Pacific, and recently Western Balkans, and will continue to work with its partners to generate robust radar crash data, research, evidence, and analysis to positively impact road safety policies in order to substantially reduce road fatalities and serious injuries. The new decade of action for road safety brings a fresh opportunity to build on the lessons learned, to see beyond our inner circle of road safety practitioners, to leapfrog and focus on evidence-based interventions that are data-driven, that can support countries in achieving the SDGs. As part of these efforts, the World Bank will be actively promoting the use of these new data guidelines, supporting countries in improvements of road safety and data. We look forward to making sure that this guidebook is used in all of our road safety projects in helping our countries really to improve the collection and management of their data, and in doing so, hopefully improve road safety outcomes at the country, city, community level. And this is just an important agenda that we have in the transport practice in the bank. And I look forward to working with everyone, with our partners. And I would also really like at this point to thank ITF for the excellent collaboration we've had in producing this report and many other collaborations, of course. So thank you with this, and I'll stop my opening remark, and back to you, Veronica.
Thank you so much, Ben, for your welcoming remarks and inspiring words. And I will now turn and give the floor to Stephen Perkins, the head of the ITF Transport Research Center, which oversees the ITF work on road safety. Steve?
Thank you, Veronique, and thank you, Veronica. So I'd like to give some background to how we developed the guidelines. And first echoing Ben's remarks that in order to manage roads safely, we need reliable data on crashes and exposure to risk if we're going to deliver the most effective interventions for saving lives. So raising the quality of road safety data is a priority for ITF work. And just for those that are not familiar with the International Transport Forum, we're an intergovernmental organization, currently with 63 member countries, alphabetically from Albania to Uzbekistan, with all but one of the OECD member countries, and our most recent member is Colombia. So the ITF's International Traffic Safety Data Group maintains the so-called IRTAD road safety database, and more importantly, the network of experts from road safety data agencies around the membership. And they work together to maintain data and indicators that are sufficiently robust to be able to benchmark performance and assess policy development. So we have about 80 members in the group from 40 countries. They're chaired by, at the moment, by Fred Wegman, who we'll hear from at the very end of the webinar today. And we currently have quality validated data from 34 countries and a shadow database with data from more countries that will eventually come into the main database. And this provides the basis for our annual ITF report on road safety performance, benchmarking performance across the countries covered. So assisting countries in improving data for better policy making is the focus of a very long-standing cooperation between the ITF and the World Bank. And it's led us so far to contribute together to establishing the first of the regional road safety observatories, OISEVI, in the Latin American Caribbean region back in 2012. And that was founded in a collaboration between Argentina and Spain to improve Argentina's data collection system. And together we've since undertaken a series of national data capacity reviews along the same lines, each through a partnership with an IRTAD member institute. And this includes Chile, Colombia, Serbia, Cambodia, and currently Costa Rica. So an awful lot of experience has been accumulated through these series of reviews. And we realized it would be really valuable for the road safety community in general to have a set of common guidelines for undertaking and reporting on such reviews. So therefore, we very enthusiastically joined the World Bank when they proposed it to prepare the guidelines. And I'm very grateful, first and foremost, to the IRTAD members that led this, Heike Martensen from Liège in Belgium, and Gilles Duchamp from Serema in France, and also to the very many contributors, and of course, not least, the Global Road Safety Facility at the Bank for its lead role, and to UK Aid for its funding support. As you'll see, as we go through today, the guidelines start from the conceptual framework for analyzing crash risks and setting targets. And then they go through the detail of establishing effective data collection systems and on to the very practical steps for reviewing road safety data system capacity in the field. So I'll close before we hear in detail about development of the guidelines in Cambodia and Chile, just by noting that together with the bank, we expect to support a series of data review missions in the next couple of years through the regional road safety observatories. So please don't hesitate to reach out if your agency could make good use of such reviews. So just with that, back to either Veronique or Veronica for the rest of the session.
Thank you, Steve, and thank you, Ben. You have set the stage for the conversation now to happen. As both of you emphasized, this is, we believe, a key tool for both the work that ITF and the World Bank are doing on road safety data will help us identify the key actions that are needed now that we are, starting the second decade of action, all the more so. So let me, without further ado, give the floor to two of the team members, Heike, who was actually the main author, and Mirik. This was a large team, and as Steve referred to, it comes from a long history of collaboration between ITF and the World Bank. So the guidelines actually taking all that experience, all the different reviews that have been happening, the most recent one being in Cambodia, from which, you know, the guidelines took a lot to be prepared. So let me give the floor to Heike as main author, and to Mirik, another team member, to present the contents, the structure, for you to get more familiar with these guidelines. Heike, over to you, Heike and Mirik.
Okay,
Thank you, Veronica.
Mirik will start on this. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Heike. Thank you, Veronica. Thank you, Veronique. Hello, everyone, and thank you again for joining us in this launch. This work, this publication is a culmination of years of knowledge and experience gained from working in different countries and in different contexts, especially in relation to challenges that we find in terms of road crash data collection and management. In 2018, and as you may know, the global status report of the WHO estimates at least 50% of unaccounted road crash fatalities. And individually in different countries, from our experiences, we see that there are varying degrees of underreporting and completeness of data. This in turn causes or results to a lack of meaningful analysis for road safety interventions and decisions. Another challenge that we find in different countries is the lack of standardization of definitions of data collection methods and of data sets. One primary example is the lack of standardized definition of crash fatality between the police and the health sector. Often, when we go to different countries, we find issues in terms of processes, technology, capacity and resources, and even social contexts. For example, barriers when it comes to citizens notifying the police or the health sector when a crash fatality happens. And beyond crash data, we often find that road safety indicators are not used. So for example, safety performance indicators, mobility data, exposure data are not used together with road crash data. This is the rationale why we published or worked on the guidelines for conducting road safety data reviews. We aim to support review teams around the world, not just road safety practitioners or road safety professionals, but also governments and observatories around the world in the assessment of road crash data collection and management. So we aim to provide them the principles or basic guidelines on how to conduct the basic detective work on identifying challenges in terms of data. We also aim to harmonize assessments, especially in relation to regional road safety observatories who are needed preparations. We identify the international standards that are used when it comes to definitions, indicators that are implemented, or methods that are implemented in data collection. And finally, we hope that the report would act as a self-evaluation tool, again, not just for practitioners or professionals, but also for the governments who need this report the most when it comes to addressing challenges in data. The scope of the whole report is basically the entire data collection process, from crash investigation to notification and recording of data, to data quality assurance, to storage, to analysis, to use and accessibility. So it tackles each step of the data collection process and provides guidelines on how to assess each of these levels. The primary focus of the report is on crash data, although we also include in the assessment the other types of road safety data. Before going to the steps of the review process, it's important to reiterate why collecting reliable and accurate data is important in road safety. In each step of the project design, development, management, and implementation process, data is crucial. And for road safety, data is ultimately necessary to implement a safe systems approach to road safety. Each level of the road safety management framework as well provides us insights as to what data might be collected. So for example, at the uppermost part of the road safety management framework is crash and casualty data or outcome indicators. And crash and casualty data should always be able to provide you with a clear picture of the circumstances that lead to a crash. So for example, what are the necessary data elements that would be collected when we are collecting crash and casualty data? It's also important to standardize again the definitions and the methods for collection these types of data. One of the more important things that we consider when collecting crash data is that this data should be geo-referenced, or the proper geo-referencing of the crash location should be collected for each crash record. This is so that individuals or governments would be able to easily visualize where crashes often happen, and then proper interventions would then be implemented. Other things to consider when collecting crash and casualty data include: how are these data recorded? Is it manually, electronically? How are they shared with all of the relevant stakeholders in road safety, and are not just kept dust, dusted in closets, for example, in police stations? How are the data stored? In what format? Are they just stored in logbooks, or are they just summarized in annual crime reports, or are they provided, or are they organized per record, disaggregated by the different data elements? And what are the visualization tools that are used, for example? And finally, which is often forgotten, is how is crash data used with other types of data? So for example, are other data sets leveraged? For example, the mobility data in terms of prioritizing a certain road user group, or are crash data laid onto a map of schools, for example, a map of hospitals for emergency response, those types of things. Another important type of road safety data are safety performance indicators, and the United Nations have set goals in terms of road safety, and each of those goals also contain within them recommendations on what indicators should be collected. So for example, for reducing speed, you have there indicators such as collecting data on free flow average speeds, percentage of vehicles exceeding the speed limit, among others. And safety performance indicators should be able to complement crash data. And in places where there is a lack of crash data, safety performance indicators can be used in order to be able to quickly identify the problems on the road network. So this includes data on speed, data on drink driving, data on seatbelt, helmet wearing, road infrastructure data, vehicle data, and even hospitalization data. And other types of data, we also consider this throughout the report. So for example, mobility data, the number of crash fatalities per 100,000 cars in the vehicle fleet, for example, or what types of road safety interventions are being implemented by the government in terms of safety engineering, enforcement, education, and the list goes on. And finally, what are the reports from the regional road safety observatories that can be leveraged? What studies have been done, what annual reports have been published that we can use alongside other types of data to have a clear picture of the road safety situation in the country and in the region. Heike.
Yes, thank you, Merrick. How did this all start? Steve already mentioned it. At ITF, we do quite a lot of twinning projects, and also for the road safety database, we also collect data from all over the world, and we validate those data because we want them to be good quality data. So this means we have had a lot of reviewers going to other countries and investigating the data collection there. And so we wanted to bundle the experiences of those reviewers and to mention the issues that should be investigated, the focuses that could be important, and in this way go for harmonization of these reports, and also give the knowledge to the countries that they could actually assess their own data. And so we have the whole review process written out in these guidelines. So starting with the preparations and which stakeholders should you see, and then we gave guidelines for the interviews, which are the questions that should be asked to whom, and of course giving some guidelines for how the reporting should be done. The next slide, please. Merrick, the next slide. Usually if you go to a country for a while, let's say for a week, you have a dense program and you want to make the most of it, and that means it really asks a lot of preparation. So you should beforehand, you should really get to know the country that you're going to, see the data that they already publish, see the documents that they publish. DeepL is your friend by now, so you can understand everything. Identify the stakeholders that are playing a role in the data collection in this country. See the list of the data that they're already collecting, undertake a literature's review of things that already have been published by this in the country, study their reports and that they publish, and more importantly, look at their data if you can get hold of them already before the data, so you can look for anomalies. We have described how to do that. And moreover, check what other data they have, safety performance indicator, mobility data. As Merrick mentioned, these are really important to interpret the road safety, the crash data, hospital data, injury data. So beforehand, you should really get a picture of all that is there, and all the stakeholders that are involved in collecting this data and using these data. So make a schedule beforehand, whom you want to meet, when, and so of course you need a good local team to help you with that. So that's really essential that you have a good team from both sides. Okay, next slide. So typically the stakeholders that you want to talk to are certainly, of course, the ministries and the police. You want to talk to the people who actually go to the crash scenes and record the data there. So that is really important to trace the whole chain of data collection. So from the police officer who records the data, then who puts them into a database, who fills in the forms, who makes sure that the forms don't stay on the desk in one office, but go to a central place, who puts them in a database, who makes sure that they're accessible to everyone else. So all this is often done by the police, but sometimes also by the ministry or by the statistics office. So all the people involved you would probably want to talk to. And then there's often a parallel reporting by hospitals, coronas. So these are also people that you want to see, and they have often different definitions. So you can discuss like what can be done about these definitions, how could they be joined. And then insurance companies also have data. So these are important to talk to, and road safety advocacy groups often collect safety performance indicators, or in research and academia, there are projects that also collect interesting data. So all these people you want to talk to and see how the data can be combined, whether they're already combined, and whether this can be improved. Okay, next slide. Okay, for each of these typical stakeholders, we have prepared questions, suggested questions that you might want to ask. So what do you want to talk about? The organization of the data collection from the notification. How do they even know that the crashes take place? Are they notified only of motor vehicle crashes or also of crashes with that involve vulnerable road users only? And then do they have the resources to actually go to each accident scene, to the severe ones, to the fatal ones? So you should ask questions like, how big is your team, and to which area do you cover? Do you even have the vehicles to go to the faraway crashes? Can you reach them at every time of the day, of the week? And so you want to make sure that actually the whole accident, all the accidentology is covered by the data collection. And if there are gaps, whether the people are aware of the gaps that might be there. Then, of course, it's really important that the data get collected. And as Mirik already indicated, they need to be made accessible to the broad public, and they need to be geo-localized and linked to other data that can maybe indicate the infrastructure. And so the data use is really important. So you should look at the reports that are written about it, and the data database, and whether they're made available in tools, dashboards, maps online to all the stakeholders that need them. So in the interviews, you should really look for tangible accident evidence. Ideally, you look at how the work is done, and not just what people say what they do, but actually whether it's actually happening that way. That way, you can really identify where there might be gaps in the data collection process. It's also very interesting to check for consistency, what different stakeholders say, how the data are exactly collected. Next slide. So then in the review reporting, we want an evaluation about the completeness of the data. And by that we mean, are really all road user types covered? Are all times of the day covered? Are all mobility modes covered? And also, are different types of road safety data available? Hospital data, crash data, safety performance indicators, exposure data. So all this is really important. The quality of the data, of course, depends on the resources. Are the resources actually present to really collect data in the necessary detail and to make them available to those who need them? And the uniformity of the data is important. Are the data collected in the same way throughout the whole country, or are there differences between regions, between different police systems, so between cities and rural sites? So these are things that you should evaluate. And then the recommendations should concern the organization of the data. Resources are important. So if the resources are simply not enough, that needs to be indicated. And then the use of the road safety data, if they're not used, they will never be collected in a good way. So the people who collect the data should actually come into should use the data themselves as well. Make them locally available to the police who collected the data, and then they will see more clearly why they're even obliged to collect them. And are there additional data that could be collected, especially identify the low-hanging fruit, the data that could be relatively easy collected and would bring a huge knowledge gain. So let me close by saying thank you very much to the good collaboration, especially with Gilles Duchamp, with my co-author, and all the ITF reviewers that helped us with their comments, and the fantastic World Bank team that really pushed this forward to another level. It was really great to work with you on this, so thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Heike and Mirik, for this very clear presentation. The report is available online, and the presentations will also be online shortly after this webinar. You have raised a number of very interesting questions in the chat. We will try to answer in the chat in order to save time. And to respond to one question, yes, the ITF and the World Bank are willing to support countries which would like to benefit from a data review. So you are welcome to reach out to the ITF or the World Bank. We will now turn to practical case studies, and we will start with a case study from Cambodia, where ITF and the World Bank visited Cambodia 2 years ago to perform a data review mission, which actually inspired the wish to develop these guidelines. And I will call Wendy Wijgermas from SWOF, the Dutch Road Safety Institute, and Alina Birlancu from the World Bank to tell us about their experience with the data review in Cambodia. The floor is yours, Wendy and Alina.
Thank you, Veronique. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. And thank you for this opportunity to share some experiences with you from Cambodia. I'm going to share my screen now. Can you see my screen?
Not in the best format. It's I can see 2 slides.
Yes, I see.
Wendy, if you want, I can share my screen.
Yes,
I think
can you
you'll
share
go,
it?
Yeah.
Maybe that's
Okay.
better. I will stop sharing. Sorry. Okay, as I mentioned, I would like to share some experiences from the crash data review we carried out in Cambodia. It was a joint project from the World Bank Global Road Safety Facility and OECD ITF, and it was carried out in the framework of the development of the Asia Pacific Road Safety Observatory. It was supported by the Cambodian government and funded by UK aid. And it was a follow-up of the twinning project between Cambodia and the Netherlands that was carried out within URTAD. We visited Cambodia in 2019 with a team from the World Bank and ITF and worked together with the National Road Safety Committee in Cambodia and the local consultant in Cambodia. Next slide, please. The objectives of the project were to review the collection and processing of crash data in Cambodia to identify the strengths and weaknesses, to provide recommendations to further improve the crash data collection and analysis, and to develop a detailed roadmap to strengthen the crash data system over the next 3 years. Next slide, please. As Heike already mentioned, it's very important to be well prepared. We only had 1 week for the review mission, and we had a lot of relevant stakeholders to meet. So it was very important to be well prepared. For preparation, we read some available reports. A problem with that might be that a lot of reports are only available in the local language. So we try to find as much information in English as possible and to translate some information from Khmer to English. It was also useful to find some literature discussing discussing research that had been carried out in the past in Cambodia, and to have a look at the WHO estimates of the number of fatalities according to the WHO estimates. I also had meetings with people that visited Cambodia in the framework of the twinning project, and that turned out to be very useful as well, because it's often, in my experience from the literature, it was quite difficult to get a good overview of the actual data collection process and of the relevant stakeholders. So meeting with people that had been to Cambodia before and had met with the different stakeholders was very useful to learn from their experiences and to know which people to meet and to know about the roles of the different people in the organizations. So from the preparation, I got a first idea of the first draft of the crash data collection process, possible strengths and weaknesses in the process, and possible gaps of data. And the preparation resulted in an inception report in which we discussed which stakeholders we were going to meet, and that also included a first list of interview questions that we were going to use in the semi-structured interviews during the review mission. So before going there, we had a scheme of the review mission, which stakeholders we were going to meet when, and we had a first set of interviews questions. So when going to the review mission, we started with the first set of interview questions, and during the first interviews, we we adapted the questions a little. So that was an experience as well, that it sometimes needed to make some adaptations to the questions. And we also analyzed the crash data in Cambodia together with the local people, so they could help us with explaining the different variables. And we took quite some time for that as well. And we also had a high-level meeting with all the high-level decision makers to inform them about the first findings, and to also get their support already for the preliminary recommendations. That was also fun. I also found that very useful. And then there was, when we came back, there was the reporting. We first wrote a draft report on the findings, and then we presented it to the different stakeholders by an online meeting, and we developed a roadmap that we also discussed with and presented to the different stakeholders. Next slide, please. Some lessons learned. First of all, from the preparation phase, my experience is that preparation is very, very important. As I already mentioned, there was it's quite a tight schedule to try to meet all the stakeholders in 1 week. So it's very important to have a basic view of the data collection process, of the relevant stakeholders, of the possible strengths and weaknesses as a starting point for the interviews. It was also very helpful to meet with the people that visited the country and already were familiar with the processes. So yeah, like I mentioned, you know who to talk to, and already have an idea which questions to ask. And also it was very important. It was very difficult to arrange all interviews in a short review period. So it's very important to have a local consultant involved and to plan the interviews well ahead. So you already have a good interview, a good agenda for all the meetings. So you were sure that the people that you need to meet are really available in the given time period that you're there. Next slide, please. So concerning the review mission, my experience was that it was very helpful to involve a local consultant for the organization of the meeting, for the translation during the meetings, and for the transport to the different stakeholders. It was also very useful. The consultant that was involved was someone who was familiar with all the stakeholders and could also inform us about the stakeholders when we were going to a meeting. So when we arrived at a meeting, we were quite well informed, and we knew who we were going to talk to, and we had some starting knowledge already. So that was very useful in my experience. The semi-structured interviews worked quite well, but as I mentioned, the questions needed to be updated after the first round of interviews. So it was, I think it's very useful to have a first set of questions as a starting point, but you need to be flexible to change the questions when needed. Another experience is that it was quite difficult to cover all the topics within 1 or 2 hours that we had available for the interviews. So it's also important to be flexible as well during the interview, thinking, we only have 1 hour left, for example, which questions are we going to focus on and which questions are less relevant for this specific interview. It's very important to ask very specific questions, like Heike already mentioned as well. Don't ask, do you report all crashes, but really ask into detail. does the crash data collection system also involve single vehicle crashes? Does it also involve crashes without motorized vehicles? Does it also involve questions that occur during the night, etc.? And it's also important to check whether the interpretation of the questions and the answers is correct. There's also a language barrier. And it's important to check whether you have the same interpretation. For me, it was really useful to go through the data collection process together with the stakeholders, and in every step of the data collection process, check for potential losses of the data. That was a very useful way to get an overview of potential losses. As I already mentioned, it's important to be flexible. We try to meet as many people as possible, but in some cases, people were not available due to other meetings that came through. So in that case, we had to adapt the schedule. And for example, we had to schedule the high-level meeting in the middle of the week instead of the end of the week. It's important to be flexible to last-minute changes. And it's also important to reserve enough time to discuss the ins and outs with the experts that analyze the data. I spent one day together with the people from the National Road Safety Committee to really go into depth in the available data and to really go through the process with them and to do some analysis together to get a real feeling about how they use the data, how they analyze the data, and to get a real feeling about the ins and outs of the available data. Next slide, please. Concerning the reporting, I learned that it was very important to carefully formulate the findings, conclusions, and recommendations. The stakeholders are the people that need to go to do something with the recommendations. So it's very important that they are inspired by the findings and not frustrated. And it's very important to be aware of potential sensitivities and to try to really involve them to make sure that something is done with the report. And it's also very important to discuss the recommendations and the roadmap with the local stakeholders to learn from them what works and what doesn't work in the local situation. We can think of a nice system, but if you, for example, think about a system which uses a lot of telephones, for example, that cannot be charged, there's no power facility, for example, to make sure that they work. It's not working. So it's very important to do it together with the local stakeholders. And it was also very.
Speed up a little bit.
Oh, sorry, this is the, yes. It was also very helpful to have experts from the World Bank involved, as they are experienced with carrying out sensitive activities, have knowledge on the local situation, and can create opportunities for future funding of implementation of recommendations. So related to that, there was a follow-up of the data review, and Alina is going to tell something about that.
Thank you so much, Wendy. Indeed, and this is actually, I think, related to one of the questions that we have received over the chat. For Cambodia, for example, the implementation of the roadmap developed under this activity, this joint World Bank ITF activity, is now being supported under the World Bank Finance Cambodia Road Connectivity Improvement Project, which was approved and just initiated in July 2020. And based on results of the needs assessment undertaken under this grant activity, the World Bank project will support the current system upgrade, which involves both software and hardware. Also the preparation of required protocols and requirements, and capacity building for staff collecting and using crash data. This upgrade basically will enhance data collection and will also improve data verification and analysis. And implementation of the activity will be closely coordinated with members of the National Road Safety Committee, especially the Ministry of Public Transport, Ministry of Interior with the Traffic Police, and also Ministry of Health, which are the main actors in crash data collection and use in Cambodia. And further on, facilitate identification of high-risk location, facilitate planning and prioritization of based road safety measures. So I do think you can actually find the following the link on your slide. This was a very, very successful, I would say, and I'm very happy that we were able to find this opportunity for the World Bank to finance the recommendations and implement them in Cambodia. And we're very grateful to the partners, to the local authorities that we've been working very closely with, to our donors, UKAID, who made this possible. So thank you so much from my side also.
Thank you so much, Wendy and Alina. Very interesting to see the results of that review in Cambodia. We will now switch regions. There's a lot of questions, we have a very active audience, and as we go, the team is trying to respond to all those questions. We will now switch regions. There was another case study that we wanted to share with you out of this close collaboration with ITF. We turn now to Latin America. Let me introduce you to Álvaro Gómez from the Dirección General de Tráfico DGT in Spain, and Carla Medina from the government of Chile, who will tell us about the data review that was conducted in Chile. As Steve mentioned in his opening remarks, through the collaboration with the OICEVI, the observatory, regional observatory in Latin America, there were several data reviews in Argentina, in Colombia, this one in Chile, now currently one in Costa Rica, and this idea of twinning, countries that were trying to improve their data, countries in Latin America that were trying to improve their data with advanced countries in IRTAD, like Spain, providing technical advice, technical assistance to countries in Latin America. So these twinning arrangements was part of that collaboration between ITF and the World Bank and the Regional Observatory in Latin America. So over to you, Álvaro and Carla, for the story on Chile.
Thank you, Vero. Hi, everyone. I'm Carla Medina. I'm from the National Road Safety Commission here in Chile. And just as Veronica said, we're going to talk about safety data reviews that were carried out not only in Chile, but in other countries in Latin America, being led by Spain. So I will speak about the Chilean case, and then Álvaro will speak about the other case, if that's okay. Next slide, please. So this data review mission, this visit, happened in 2017, I think, with the twinning idea that Veronica mentioned from IRTAD. Chile and DGT and CONACET are part of IRTAD, as well as the Ibero-American observatories, road safety observatories, and having the same language definitely helped, I think, a lot, which was mentioned previously in Cambodia with language and challenges. We didn't have that that challenge here because thankfully we had Spain coming over and being able to fully take on meetings and ask the questions and getting answers from all the organizations that we set up meetings with. Safety data for Chile, it is very important. I believe that since the first decade of action became, and all the international reporting became more relevant, I think Chile started taking more seriously their reporting. It's not that we didn't before, it's just that I think it took the relevance that we wanted to show why it was important, and I think this helped. Before the data review visit, and before that, we had road safety data, but it was kind of addition. I mean, it was kind of a plus. We had it because police reported it for whatever reason. Health reported it because it was part of the the reporting that they did. But I think this mission and this this collaboration kind of helped raise awareness to these organizations and to other stakeholders in Chile about the importance of the data they collected. that it was important not only for whatever they were using it, which was not a lot, but rather because, you know, there was this issue, this challenge that Chile is currently facing still, in people dying on roads, that needed to be studied in depth, and that needed data that was reliable and that was complete. So having that said, obviously, we as the Road Safety Agency, obviously we are continuously transmitting this message, but when some other, you know, people come or organizations come and you know, talk about the importance of this data and what they're doing, obviously it brings awareness, sorry, to these organizations, and it helps them understand why it's so valuable what they're doing. Since that visit in 2017, police has worked in increasing the reporting times. They used to have a 24-hour follow-up on crashes, and now they do 48 hours. We are lucky in Chile, we have only one police or system, you know, our country is designed in a way that we have a national police, so it makes it a lot easier that when a change is implemented, it basically it's applied to the whole country. It's not as quick as we would like, you know, but it helps a lot. So the time of reporting, it helped, it was increased. At the time, also the Ministry of Health signed or worked on a cooperation agreement with the police, you know, to bring up that report to 30 days and start working together on improving their reporting and their exchange system. It's still a work in progress, I have to say. COVID and everything else has taken a toll, I would say, in the statistics department of the Ministry of Health, which has made it a bit challenging for them to oblige or to continue working on that agreement. And basically, we are currently working on, as the Road Safety Agency, and understanding the challenges and understanding that these two, you know, really important areas, which is, you know, health and police, are so willing to help us, you know, to improve our data, to refine and to do better analysis with this data. We're working to develop, an integration, a technological integration between all the institutions that we have identified as important stakeholders for more complete and better data for road safety. So the mission, I would say, the visit of Alvaro in this case, helped a lot. I would say it helped us raise awareness of what we're doing. It helped others to see what we were doing and the importance of how we make decisions based on this data, and how we can go in depth in certain, you know, road safety phenomena and situations, looking at the data, and how we can with that develop other policy. And since then we developed a road safety strategy based on data with, you know, indicators and everything else. And I would say it all kind of precipitated from that. I think that the data safety review mission that was carried out kind of precipitated all these actions, all these situations, in helping us be more aware of the importance of data and how valuable and what a contribution this could be for improving road safety in our country. Alvaro?
So thank you, Carla. Hello, everyone. It's been good to see those pictures taken back in 2017 in Chile. Those were the days. I'd like to first thank the invitation to the World Bank and the International Transport Forum, and I'd like to congratulate the authors of the guidelines. I think that this document, this report, will be a milestone in the harmonization of road safety data globally, and I'd like to thank Veronique and Veronica for their hard, continuous work on this field. I just like to add to the presentation of Carla some general remarks drawn from data review missions that we have conducted over the last years. We have been most lucky to work with colleagues from Argentina, Chile, Colombia, and Costa Rica in these reviews, and I would like to highlight some of the lessons learned. Right now, we are just about to finish a data review with Costa Rica under the umbrella of IRTAT. So far, it's been a fully virtual online process. I mean, we have found that data review it will generally take about 8 to 10 interviews with different ministries and stakeholders. In the case of Costa Rica, it's been a fully online process. Well, I still hope we will be able to visit Costa Rica this year, hopefully. But this experience with Costa Rica will be very useful to draw conclusions about the benefits and drawbacks and of conducting the interviews physically or virtually. I think that Carla has already mentioned this. One of the main benefits of data reviews is promoting the cooperation between national sectors and stakeholders. Of course, within countries, different ministries and agencies, they know each other, they cooperate with each other, but we have found that data review conducted under the umbrella of an international organization such as the World Bank or the International Transport Forum can definitely foster that cooperation and increase the common use of road safety data, and in particular the sharing of data between different sectors such as health or transport. We also have found that that vital registrations have a key role in many countries, and this means that coroners should be involved in the process since they are the primary original source of data. Sometimes coroners, there is a direct communication between coroners and the National Road Safety Agency. Sometimes this communication is through the National Statistics Office, but they need to be integrated in the process. And speaking about sectors, stakeholders, coroners, I think that the list of stakeholders that is provided in the report is comprehensive and will provide a clear picture of what needs to be done and who should be addressed when conducting a data review. And of course, we have also found that there is a need for linking health and police data. The guidelines are a necessary framework for preparing and conducting the review. The initial phase of preparation is very important. We have also found that the question sets that are proposed in the reports, particularly in Annex B, are crucial when conducting the interviews. If I am to compare, for example, the review that we conducted in Chile 5 years ago with the most recent reviews with Colombia and Costa Rica, I think it's fair to say that our interviews with stakeholders are now much more structured, and this has been possible because of the list of questions that the guidelines offer. And of course, there is a need for improving data on non-fatal crisis exposure and safety performance indicators. This is our first priority is fatal data, but there is a lot of work to be done on non-fatal crisis, not only in countries in which data reviews are conducted, this also affects countries with more developed data systems. Sometimes we find that sometimes the definition of serious injuries is not clear, or sometimes it is clear, but the level of application differs within the country, and well, we still have a lack of good exposure and safety performance indicators. And finally, this is road safety data review is not only about a so-called it's not only about a country learning from another country with supposedly a more developed data system. I think there is also a lot to be learned from countries in which the reviews are conducted. In Chile, for example, I learned a lot, and in many regards, I found that their databases were better than many other databases I know. So this is also a way of learning from the countries in which the reviews are conducted. And just a final word, and maybe we can talk about this now in the debate, but it will be good to reflect about the incentives that can be offered to countries for asking a data review. I think that the World Bank and the International Transfer Fund are doing a fantastic work in promoting these guidelines, and maybe we can talk about ways to promote the conducting of these reviews in more countries. So thank you very much, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Carla and Alvaro, for your testimony. And it's very impressive, Carla, to see how much road safety data has improved in Chile, and even more how road safety has gained on the political agenda, starting from this cooperation with DGT. And actually the work you have been doing, Alvaro, in Chile and Colombia really help us to design these guidelines, and we really build on the experience that Alvaro and Carla have done in Chile, and Heike in Serbia, and Wendy in other countries, in Cambodia, to make this guideline as practical as possible. We will now enter into the panel phase of this webinar, and we have a great panel with us. I would like to introduce you Lucila Capelli from the city of Buenos Aires, Liliana Sela from the Transport Community Secretariat of the Western Balkans, Duncan Kibogon from the National Transport and Safety Authority of Kenya, and Professor Pete Thomas from Loughborough University. So during the last half an hour with us, we would like to discuss with the panelists about the importance of road safety data. What do you think about these guidelines, and how do you see the use of these guidelines in the future? And we would also like to talk a little bit about the future of road safety data. Maybe these guidelines really focused on some traditional data, but I'm sure you have some ideas of future road safety data, which may also be useful to assess road safety performance of countries. And I would like, if you don't mind, to start with a few questions to Duncan from Kenya. I hope you are with us, Duncan. And
yes,
yes. So how are you? So
I'm all right. How are you?
It would be very helpful to hear a little bit your feedback about these guidelines, and to hear from you about the main challenges of road safety data collection in Kenya today, and what kind of recent improvements did you implement, and what are the plans ahead? And do you think that international cooperation can help you?
Yes, thank you so much. I don't know if you can hear me, Veronique. This is Duncan from Kenya.
I can hear you very well.
Yeah, you can hear me. All right, fine. So thank you. Now, you've asked me about this particular document which you're launching today. This is indeed a very good document. I happen to have gone through the document right from the beginning to the end. And this particular document is quite fantastic, and I would like to take the opportunity to thank the people who did this particular document, ITF, World Bank, GRSF, and many other stakeholders. Why I'm saying so is because it captures basically in a very simple manner and how data reviews are supposed to be done. And definitely after reviews and the outcome of the report, as you've been told, then naturally is going to inform decisions of how data is going to be improved in each of the countries. So for us here in Kenya, it's a document which is quite important. And as since you've asked that what are possibly the challenges of road safety data in Kenya? For a very long time, road safety data in Kenya is most of the data comes from the police. So the challenge you always come across is that when you come around the data collecting tool which the police use is not in keeping with the best international standards. But one of the things I would want to talk to the people in this particular meeting, the participants, is that we are working to improve some of those. The other aspect is the linkages of the data between the police, the health systems, and other areas whereby we'll be talking about other data sources, including the driver license and whatnot. So that has been a challenge in quite a while. But as you've asked what progress you are moving, I would like to say that in the last 1 year or so, we've worked towards trying to improve our data by developing what we call national data crash data systems. In this case, what are we doing? One is that we are working with different stakeholders, whereby we have identified the different stakeholders touching on road safety data. And in this particular case, and as described in this particular document, the police, of course, the health system people, the hospitals. We're also dealing with the civil registration department, what we call here the Department of Civil Registration, whereby we're talking about vital registration, the registration of deaths. Dealing with the insurance companies and also the associations which deal with the insurance companies is an area whereby we've been dealing with. Of course, with the Ministries of Transport, Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Health, as I said before. And with that, and the road agencies are the road construction agencies here in Kenya who deal with the road infrastructure itself. So in this case, what have we done is that through some funding from African Development Bank, we are currently working towards having national crash database. And in this case, we are piloting the city of Nairobi with the intention and plan to scale it nationally. And one of the areas we are working around is building capacities of different stakeholders. To start with the police is the whole aspect around improving on the data collecting form, the tool, we call it in this part of the world P41. And what we are doing with it is that apart from just improving it, is that we want to also digitize it so that it's able to be have it in handheld device, which is going to be used by the police as they collect the data out there in the field. So, and we've used different international standards, including, and I'm a member of ARSO, African Road Safety Observatory. And one of the things is the minimum data elements touching on different areas, right from the vehicle, the road user, the road, amongst others. So we have ensured that the data collecting tool, which we are using currently and into the future, is able to capture that. As I said, we are still in piloting stage and we want to roll it out. Then the other thing is, apart from that, it's also GPS or rather GIS enabled. And working with some of the road authorities in the Republic of Kenya and the roads board, where we are able to get the GIS locations, or rather the GIS map of major roads in the country. And that one is able to be mapped on the major routes. And with that case, as we do the data collection, then it's going to show us exactly where the crash happened and all other related data on the same. So that is one of the areas we are currently working on, automating them. And all this data would be pushed or to a central point, and that is the organizations whereby I am, and that is the National Transport and Safety Authority, the lead agency on matters road safety, working also with the police, with the health system people, and also the civil registration people and the road agencies. So the data we have currently in this pilot phase is definitely something which is very exciting and is going to point to it the burden of the problem, and to be more specific on the roads and what type of crash when it's happened, among us different other areas. So that's what I wish, Veronique. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Duncan. Yes, and your experience is, I think, very useful for the road safety community, and in particular the African Road Safety Observatory. And I think it's very important, as you mentioned in your countries, to have some pilot projects and to progressively scale up, to progressively improve very effectively the quality of road safety data.
Thank you for that, Duncan, for that view from the national level. Let me now bring us to the city level. You know, in these data reviews, we've mentioned in this collaboration with the International Transport Forum and IRTAD, we carried out data reviews not only at the country level, but also at the city level through the Safer City Streets initiative. And one of those cases was providing assistance to the city of Buenos Aires. We also had exchanges with Bogota. So we have here with us Lucila Capelli and the Undersecretary of Mobility for the city of Buenos Aires. And I wanted to listen to hear from her. What is your experience, Lucila, in that process of improving data? You had some exchanges, for example, with Barcelona to try to learn from them. At the very beginning, now you've done a lot of progress. You've been investing a lot on road safety, use and improving the quality of the data with which you work. You have also expanded to cyclists, for example, things that are hard, you know, to address. How are you working with data on cyclists now that, you know, with the pandemic, this has grown so much as a transport mode? And also a question for you all together. You know, there's the issue of costs, right? And how do you prioritize which data you focus on, given that resources are limited, and to maximize that and use, you know, get the most out of it. Are you using new technologies? What's your experience with the use of, for example, big data to improve the quality of road safety data in the city of Buenos Aires? Over to you, Lucila.
Thank you, Veronica. Yes, we are from the city of Buenos Aires, very proud of all the results we have been doing in the last 6-7 years regarding road safety. And it's a good opportunity to thank you, World Bank, but also Bloomberg Initiative and ITF for the help in this process, because it's that kind of public policy that you need to learn from the others and the other experience, because it's very difficult, the data collection and the reinforce of the institution regarding road safety. So we were working very hard. It wasn't me, it was the previous administration, but I was continuing that process. In the data collection process. Buenos Aires city is a huge city with more than 3 million inhabitants, but we have around 3 million people that arrives to the city every day from the suburbs of the Buenos Aires metropolitan area. And road safety is a big issue for us. Because of the data collection, we know now, we, the policymakers, we are not blind to take decisions. So we know the number of fatal incidents each month, each year. We are improving the data collection every day with a coordination between the different areas of the government, from the security area, but also the hospitals and the health system. And that allowed us to have not only one plan. We are now in the second road safety plan of the Buenos Aires city public policy of road safety. In the first plan, we reduced 30% the fatals between 2016 and 2019. So we know that we did a very big effort, and we were allowed to do it because of the work together with the cities, you say, Veronica, but also with the help of different institutions that were very close to us to build this new process of data collection. So also now that we have that data and also we have data, we are starting to have a historic data year by year and user by user. We are using that data to take decisions. That is I think is the goal of every administration regarding road safety. So we we are now taking decisions using evidence. We had a new regulation regarding alcohol consumption last year that we designed it by the data the fatals show us. Also, we are planning infrastructure using road safety data. We start doing bike lines in avenues because the data show us that cyclists that were using avenues to have better travel times, but they were very insecure. There we have the fatals in the avenues, so we start building infrastructure there with very good results in road safety, but also in the increasing of the trips. And now, as you say, we are trying to go to another level and to introduce technology for the road safety analysis. We are working with the World Bank in an important work to have the information of the cell phones, all the movements of cell phones around the city, and we would like to have an index of vulnerability to the using that technology. We plan to have that indicator during this year, and we believe that this new data will help us not only for new regulation and for new infrastructure, but also to arrive to our goals. We plan to, our target is to reduce 50% the fatals to 2030, and we need to go in that direction with better tools, and also with a stronger team with better skills. So thank you for the guide. I think it's very useful for every colleague around the world that is in my place.
Thank you, Lucila. Very interesting perspective from a city administration. Just to emphasize that indeed these guidelines can be used also at the city level, at the regional level. So another valuable tool we think for policymakers in city administrations. Vero, over to you.
Thank you, Lucila. So we have seen the challenge of road safety data in a country, in a city, and now we will turn into an observatory. Liliana is representing the newly established Road Safety Observatory for the Western Balkans. So we would very much like to hear from you, Liliana, about the current strengths and weaknesses of road safety data collection in the region, and how the observatory is going to help countries in improving their road safety data.
Thank you, Veronique. Thank you to all the collaborators that are bringing today to us this guide. When I'm saying to us, of course, that myself as part of the Road Safety Observatory, I see my role there and also the region itself. But I think it is very important also at other levels, not just the regional one, but at the national level as well. Well, as a regional organization that we used to exist before, and now we're holding the Road Safety Observatory under our umbrella. We have done some work also before, and that was in the screening of the region in terms of the data that they are collecting. So that brings to the weaknesses and the strength that the data collection processes has in each of the regional partners. I can't say for some of the indicators that this is a weakness that all the region has, because some of the regional partners are doing very well in the terms of having systems that are communicating with each other. So communicating in terms of having a leading agency that coordinates all the roles of the sectors and is analyzing the data. And we have regional partners that are collecting data, but that are not shared at that level that can be useful for everyone. So the first comparison that we can do, let's say, it is comparing the statistics, national statistics on data on fatalities with World Health Organization figures. And yes, we found that half of the region is doing very good, but the other half is not at that stage yet. So in that terms, we found out in our data collection for 2019 that there are regional partners, to clarify to the attendees that we're calling regional partners countries, that are not using the standards or let's say the partners that are using shorter time frame to define the road safety deaths, so that they are having less than 30 days. And this is, let's say, I see the role of the Road Safety Observatory to come up with a harmonization of the data. We have also, in that respect, a lack of the vehicle registration system, and we have 2 out of 6 countries here that doesn't have a death registry system, which brings us to a work that our regional observatory, together with World Health Organization, to bring some capacity building and to raise this issue in these 2 regional partners, in order to bring them at the same level to the others. Another issue that I mentioned here, it is that the geolocation is missing, and when it comes to the high-risk road sections on the assessment of the roads, we go with kind of road sections with higher length, but when it comes to identify the risk spots in one at city level, that becomes very problem, and then the issues cannot be addressed as it should be. So as a regional road safety observatory, we decided to enter in and to have mini CADAS as an intermediate goal. When we screened the region, we had those that are collecting 7 indicators out of 28, but we have also those countries that are collecting 26 indicators out of 28 variables. So in this respect, I think that the role of regional road safety observatories is very, very helpful. And yes, in addition to all above said, I think that observatories can help also to link all of these gaps and issues with capacity building programs that can share knowledge not just within the region, but with other regions as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Liliana, and thank you for your hard work on the observatories, which will definitely help improving road crash data in the region.
Thank you.
Thank you, Liliana. And let me now turn to Pete Thomas to get the view of an academic, an expert with a lot of experience in the European Observatory, but also an expert on new technologies, Pete, and especially new vehicle technology. What is coming up? A lot of innovation is happening. Innovation that it maybe is being used a lot by the private sector. What are you seeing in terms of improvements to road safety with data from these new technologies for fleet management in the private sector, but also for road agencies? What data can we get from these new vehicle technologies, Pete?
Well, yes, thank you very much, first of all, for inviting me on to this panel. The points that you raise are very, very interesting, I think, and potentially have some quite significant benefits for road safety, but they bring challenges as well. So the world that we see is, I think, having an explosion of data, and we see that all around us in many, many aspects of life. And with transport and mobility, there is that same rapid increase in data, and we've heard mention of cell phone information, vehicle-based data capture, data coming from traffic management systems. In the future, well, in the near future, we'll have connected vehicles where there's a constant dialogue between the vehicle and the infrastructure. And altogether, that opens up a lot of potential opportunities for increasing and improving our understanding of what's happening on the road and with vehicles and with road users. But also it opens up opportunities for new road safety interventions as well. For example, by bringing all road users together somehow under a common mobility management process. And so we see information captured from a variety of different sources. So the type of data that will be captured for, say, traffic management processes, traffic management reasons, is different to the type of data that might be captured on a vehicle for event data recorders related to seatbelt improvement, or which in itself is also different from mobility data, where you might be looking at use of buses or use of taxis and so on. And there are many challenges, I think, and they're big challenges associated with this mass data. And the biggest challenge, I think, is the signal to noise ratio. In other words, how do we isolate the pieces of information that we're really interested in, the ones that are meaningful to us for road safety purposes, from the vast amount of noise that there exists around. And some of these databases can be extremely large. At Loughborough, we hold databases of around 500 terabytes. And that is really challenging to start to analyze and to pull out the significant pieces of information. And in a way, I think what this data is opening up is a sort of microscopic look at what we're actually doing on the roads as road users and as travellers. And that applies to vulnerable road users as much as to motorised vehicle users. And I have this belief, I think, that the more accurately we're able to understand and quantify road risks through this capture of this type of data, the more specific we can be, first of all, in terms of identifying suitable countermeasures, and secondly, in terms of identifying suitable indicators that we can use to measure progress, suitable safety performance indicators, in other words. And I think when you look at the SPIs that are being developed in perhaps in the leading countries, Sweden, Norway, Ireland, for example, that you see that these countries have safety performance indicators that are very targeted. And I think with the type of mass data that is now available to us, it opens up these new opportunities to target new interventions very specifically. It is a challenge to deal with the size of the data. It's a challenge, I think, to integrate all of that data together and to see patterns in it. And we're, I think, at the very early stages in that, but I look forward to more work in this area and more people trying to take advantages of this data. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Pete. And yes, we look forward to looking at your research and see how the knowledge that you're developing with these new technologies can help inform the work of teams working with these type of guidelines, but also the work of observatories and taking advantage of all these data, but also taking out the noise that you were referring to. Well, with this, we bring to an end the panel discussion. We don't have a lot of time for questions, really, and apologies for that. There's been a lot of action by the audience on the chat, and I think that the team has been responding to these questions. I think we turn now to our final speaker. We have the privilege of having Fred Wegman, the chair of the International Road Traffic Accident Database at the ITF, and professor, emeritus professor at Delft University, to share with us his takeaways from all these conversations. It's been a very broad and rich conversation with views from a lot of different experts and speakers and policymakers. Fred, over to you for your wisdom and help us wrap it up with the key takeaways, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Veronica. First of all, I would like to congratulate you and Veronique for an excellent webinar. It was very, very interesting, very much to the point, and a lot of very good information came across. So my congratulations on that. Also, my congratulations on the fact that you published the report, because I consider that as a milestone report. It cost a while, it took some time, but it's worthwhile, and we have an excellent product now. When you have a look at the mission of ERTAD, which I'm chairing these days, the mission is that we would like to see better road safety data for better road safety outcomes. And that's always very important to keep in mind that the data we collect should be analyzed and should be used for a better outcome in policymaking. So that relationship is key. So it's not the final outcome, better data. No, we would like to analyze that, and we would like to use the data for better policies. And I think that's important also when we talk about this guideline. I hope that due to the publication of this document, that data collection and data analysis will get a higher profile in the world. We learned from the first decade that we are missing a lot of good data in many countries. And I hope that by publishing this guideline, that good data collection will be higher on the political agenda, that we all profit from that. So please work a lot, I would say, to ITF and to the World Bank, that this guideline will be used in many countries. Third remark I have relates to an important term I heard today, and that's very close to my heart, and that's called harmonization. If you go to the heart of the report, I would say that is figure 3.1. So those who have the report in front of them, go to that figure 3.1, and then you understand what I'm talking about. There you find that there are three elements that we pay attention to. First of all, what should be done, which data to collect. And that is a kind of an international reference, so to say. The second element, important to pay attention to, is what is said to be done in the countries at stake. And the third, very, very important element is what is really being done in the countries. So we have those three, this triangle, and what should be done. There I would like to see a kind of harmonization in the world. I would like to see that in ERTAD, first of all, but also in the world. And that's a message to all these observatories, that we have kind of a harmonized data collection, not that this country is doing this and the other country is doing it a little bit different. I don't believe that is the right way forward. And I hope that by having those different road safety observatories all over the world, that we can work together to harmonized data collection. My fourth remark relates to the expectations of the efforts. Don't expect that better data systems is an overnight activity. It is a step-by-step improvement. And in that respect, I see also these missions to countries as a first step. So I welcome a lot what I learned from Cambodia, for example, where they say, okay, this was the report, the initial report. Then there's time and space and funding for a next step, for a follow-up. And then I would say, please come back in a year or 2 years from now and try to capture the improvement. So for all those who are dealing with data systems, see it as a step-by-step path to improve your data system, and don't expect that you, after one visit of an expert, you are at the end of everything. And that brings me to knowledge and expertise. First of all, I would like to see that this guideline will be in the hand of data experts. This is not an area to work with amateurs. So you need to be a certain expert to know what you're talking about. And that's of importance, because there are a lot of booby traps on your way if you try to improve your data system. And I would like to see that in the hands of experts, the useful work of working with this guideline will profit the countries. But that's also related to the work in the countries. There, it is not just a manual, a guideline, a procedure. It's also people in the countries working on data systems. And that is work that is not so easy at all. It's not very sexy sometimes. It's not very highly prioritized, but it's important. And I hope that in all the countries that are going to work with this guideline, that you give a lot of space to capacity building for experts in the country to improve the data systems in your own country. As said, I think this is an excellent report. It is well written. It is a little bit wider than what I was expecting right from the start, but I understand why that is. I would like to say thanks to the author team, both from ERTAD, from ITF, and from the World Bank. And I hope you don't mind that I especially thank Heike Martensen, because she is the mother of this report and she paid a lot of attention to this, but also the World Bank staff, very excellent work on preparing this. So I see a bright future for this area based on the report that has been published today. Thank you so much, Veronica and Veronique.
Thank you, Fred, for those words and for closing this event. Vero, yes, come with me for the final thanks to everyone, to all the technical experts that make the presentations on the case studies and on the guide, of course, but also to our panelists, Lucila, Liliana, Pete, and Duncan. Thank you so much for that interesting panel, for all your different perspectives. It's been a great conversation. We ran a little bit over the stipulated time, but thanks to the audience that stayed with us. Vero, it's been a pleasure to co-moderate this session with you, and it's been always so enriching, this collaboration, the World Bank collaboration with International Transport Forum. You bring the knowledge of high-income countries. You have facilitated that knowledge and helped us bring innovative ideas, more advanced technologies, systems, policies to propose to the countries where we work as a development institution. So thank you so much for this very close collaboration all these years, and I think the guidelines will continue to help us in that work and in our collaboration.
Yes, so thank you everyone. Thank you, Veronica, for these kind words. And as Fred said, these guidelines are the beginning of a new piece of work, and we hope to work together with those interested in doing some more data reviews, and Veronica and myself are at your disposal should you wish to have more information. So thanks again to the speakers, thanks again to the panelists, and thanks again to all participants, and we hope to see you soon. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Veronica and Beryl. Bye, everybody.